No.
Well, it's a complete experiment.
What?
I think the sound should come out okay.
Okay, we're using my phone for the camera because his distorts and it looks terrible.
Yeah, it makes us look like we're like squished and stretched at the same time. No, it's not good, man. I'm not digging it.
So we're recording on mine, but the microphone doesn't. I don't know. We will be loud.
We will be loud or echoey or too quiet.
Yes.
One of those are gonna happen. Mm-hmm. Or no sound at all.
Just do the subtitles.
No, nothing.
Nothing? Just us looking at each
No.
other talking?
What we should do is if that happens, is just use some of the weird free music you can get on my and just put it over the entire thing with absolutely no explanation. That'd be great. I mean, not really. It would not be great, and that would suck for you guys. But just the idea is kind of funny.
It is.
Yeah. I was freezing to death, and now I'm finally getting warm.
Oh, thank goodness. What?
Nothing. So what's up?
I have questions.
Oh, do we want to do wrist check?
All right.
We're going to go and do wrist check, which means we're going to film it after this segment. So I'm going to be curious about what we're going to say.
Wrist check. I'm wearing what I have been wearing for a while that I changed, but from last week. But anyway, I realized I have to actually wear my watches like this. Wow, that light is amazing.
What, because it's so awful?
Yes, I don't know if in the video we talked about the light situation yet. I don't think so.
It's just awful.
Anyway, because my wrist is so small, it ends up being like over here, so I have to wear it like this.
I love that thing. I am wearing this baby. I have another video where I talk about this, but it really came out just like I liked and like I wanted, and you know, it seems like a fitting. It's all the things that I like, and so that's good. On the other wrist, I'm continuing to wrist check my 6117 8000. This is a watch that fought me for a couple years on and off till I finally nailed it, and I'm just keeping it on my wrist to show it who's boss.
I hope what we said was amazing.
Well, I hope so too. I mean, it was, I always like a chance to blag on about this one. Okay.
So now we are. What are you doing?
I'm trying to get a little more centered. I think that looks good. Okay. Go for it.
Okay. So questions. From the video, a new Seiko Osaka Navigator.
The Osaka Navigator.
From Lars Ovidgaard?
This is the gentleman. Well, anyway, read the thingy.
Okay. Great video, Spencer. 1 year ago, I purchased a 6117-6420, and I did extensive research on this mysterious model. I trawled all online references, and I did find both an earlier and a later serial number for the list, and I came to the exact same conclusion as you. 6117-6420 is actually a legit Seiko produced in very small numbers and never marketed. Should we have a chat on findings?
Well, the most important thing though that we found to really sort of nail anybody who doubts the authenticity of the thing because the current lack of official information. Adrian Selleck down at Vintage Time Australia found the page for the Seiko casing guide for that year. That model is listed, and it's like a casing parts number guide, and the dial number, item number, piece number, part number for the dial for that watch is unique. It doesn't match any of the other ones. It's got and I don't know what more evidence you need than that. I mean, it's you've got
all it took was some internet initiative.
It certainly did. It certainly did. It just amazes me that no one said anything before I came around. Or actually, the first guy who said something got told that it was a fake, and I hope he never finds out. I hope that mod never hears a knock on the door. No, that would never happen.
Slim2429. I wonder if Seiko has a historian or a documentarian that we could get someone in Japan to contact to reduce language barrier that could dig in the corporate archives and see if a special order was placed.
They've got to have the information. They've got to have the information. I've thought about that. It's like they're going to have archives of everything they did, and they will certainly. I can't imagine how they wouldn't have full documentation of the stuff at Expo 70. The thing is, I don't know who to write. Like, who do you write at Seiko? Do I just go Seiko customer service? Really?
It's a starting point.
I don't know. I guess, but that just seems silly. I guess I can write a letter and fire it off to a bunch of other different people. I do know the Seiko parts desk guy at Perrin in Canada. He is buddies with somebody who works inside Grand Seiko. He's the one that I got the connection for those 6159 parts for. But yeah, it's maybe I could ask him. Literally, maybe I could say, "Hey man, do you know somebody inside Seiko that could get this to the right channels?" That's a good idea. That's a good idea. Cool.
Sven Nignot. Hi Spencer, I am amazed how easily this watch was dismissed as not genuine. There was really no substantial evidence that for that conclusion. Only a few of the Seiko veterans that did not know of it and therefore decided it does not exist. The hubris and arrogance, certainly considering they had never seen or handled one in real life. Textbook armchair diagnosis.
Yeah, and then you have people giving a verdict, and then they have to stick to their guns because they're the most important coin online is being right.
It's true.
Not correct, mind you, right. So, what are you gonna do?
Read the next question.
Probably.
Sidewalk Astronomy Netherlands. Why don't you ask Seiko? Don't they have a service for customers you could ask?
I have no idea. I'd be shocked. I mean, every time I've ever heard of anybody talking to Seiko, they get answers back, but they're usually not super helpful and fairly brief. I don't know, but I'm just sabotaging the whole project by saying that. So maybe I should just try it. I will write the guy at the parent desk.
Andrew7846. The official Seiko Watch Expo of 1970 seems to be the 61198090, which had the Expo logo on the dial. I've looked through all the Seiko catalogs I can find from 1969 to 1971, but can't find the Osaka Navigator, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's actually the lack. A number of people have said, well, that's the official watch because it's got that chrysanthemum logo on there. And to me, that says, well, you want to show people it's not just this, but that you bought it here in Japan. And so that, to me, would seem like it would have been for, public sale. Hey, get your, here you are at the Seiko Pavilion. Look at these gorgeous Seiko watches. Also because those watches were produced in a time frame well before the start of the fair, whereas the 6117, the Osaka Navigator, was produced like 2.5 months before the end of the fair, and it carries just standard Seiko branding. It's not branded for the Expo, and it seems that the model people who had the model kept them, because right now, based on the spread of serial numbers, which is tiny and very, very tight, unusually tight. I've never seen a series of Seiko watch serial numbers of a single model be anywhere near that close. Like two, like they'll be close to each other. I've never seen where you have a run of 5 or 6. But so that's a lot of watches that survived with a very small production run. I'm guessing it was 500 watches. Because those are the serial numbers from right almost up to 500, and all the rest of ones go down. There was a second batch about in April of the following year. Maybe those were produced to, give out to people who got missed or people who wanted a second one, or who knows. But it was a real model. It's in the casing guide, so there it is. I think that because it doesn't carry the Expo logo, it was meant for internal consumption. Everybody would know where the watch came from. That's my theory.
That makes sense. Sidewalk Astronomy Netherlands.
Wow, you're getting a couple in today.
You made it onto a Norwegian website with this discovery. I posted it, but YouTube wiped the address and I forgot the name.
Yeah, well, I'm one of them was found up there on being sold on a forum up there, as I originally talked about. So that's cool. I just want the word to spread. I want everyone to to start digging around, because these watches are out there. They have to be. The fact that I was able to find one sold just like a month and a half ago. The Italy one sold, and it was in excellent condition. There have to be more out there, and people must have been ignoring them because they thought they were fake, and now they're not fake. But still, with all those survivors, 500 pieces for that first run. It's insanely rare only for internal distribution, like our theory is.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's the theory.
It's a theory. It's a theory. And, it's a theory. We're going to find more stuff, but so far, nothing disproves the theory. And I can't come up with a single what possible reason would there be for someone to put so much effort into faking a watch that they would go to the trouble of getting as close as possible serial numbers and then having all the parts made clearly on or by Seiko or somebody who could fake Seiko perfectly in all respects, in every single respect, and then to put these things together with genuine Seiko 6117 movements. Now remember, you've gotten the individualized case backs that you had custom made for this watch that you're faking for some reason. And then of course you're playing the long game, because you put them out and because they've got to have natural wear, and they must have come from the Expo at that time. So what you're doing, you're playing the long game. You have to make 500 of these watches and just run around the fair slipping them in people's pockets as they pass. And so it's like, the Seiko fairy came and delivered them a watch. Merry Seiko Mass. And then all you have to do is wait 50 years, 52 years. And then when they start popping out of the woodwork, they're going to be worth some $100, some hundreds of dollars. Or whatever it ends up being. There's no rational, and it's in the casing guide. There's no plausible way that they're fake. Period. I'm just thinking. Well, I'm combing through it in my head, and I'm like, what is the point? What would be the point of doing that?
I don't know.
And I guarantee you that those old guys are still defending their turf. Oh, it's not fake. Oh, it's fake. Okay, that's fine.
Uncle Roar. The dial has the same color that the Expo 70 logo was.
Yeah, that's true. It is. I thank you for noting that, because I didn't notice that. That is true.
So this is from Mail Call 183. True Blue Miata. There are more Miatas being driven by dudes my age now than I've seen. Well, obviously I didn't see dudes my age driving them, but I haven't seen as many Miatas since the 90s.
Speaking of Miatas, the Miata seats are pretty much the only non-MG seats that you can more or less just bolt into an MG. So the original MG seats for this thing, they're just terrible. And I'm doing a whole resto mod on this thing. I don't want to return it to Concours State or any of that kind of stuff. This thing's going to be mine. So I really wanted to get comfortable seats, and I need a set of Miata seats in good condition. So if, anybody who has some sitting around, just let me know. You never know.
Hi, Sabrina and Spencer. Haven't commented lately, but am still enjoying your channel.
Thank you.
I keep my solar watches in a southern-facing window and they stay charged. I think a main reason people have moved from forums to other social media is due to the way that a forum creates an old boy network that serves to push away the rest. Those in the top echelon invariably develop a sense of entitlement that stifles discussion. I've seen this on car, watch, and knife forums. While I still use these forums for information, I never joined them. Keep up the good fight. I'm so sorry.
What?
Star Trek?
What about Star Trek? StarTrek.com? We were royalty on StarTrek.com. It's so...
We were the top tier.
We were the top of the top. We were the top ones then. It's just so silly.
Yeah.
It's so silly. Well, it's just ridiculous, you know. Yes, it's true. Because you're going to get, in whatever group, you're going to get elites that float or work their way up to the top, and then they're going to want to defend their interests.
And catfish an entire message board for years.
Oh.
So there was this one person whose screen name was Bex.
Oh, I forgot about Bex.
Oh, well, no, so she was like, you know, one of the it girls before I came.
Oh
up,
yeah, and she was working on everybody.
Yeah, and
she was the cool girl.
I remember him being like, she sounds more like a dude.
I was like, she sounds like a dude, and she never, in any case. But I was suspicious. I don't remember what tipped me off. Yeah, it turns out it was a dude.
No, we don't. No, stop it. You
sorry.
weren't there for that part of the story. So we get married and stuff, and don't go on message boards. But then, I don't know, like 10 years ago, people were like, come back. And I was like, okay. And then, I don't know why nobody looked at her IP address and said it, but her IP was from New Zealand. And somebody found on PhotoBucket the pictures that this person had been using for years
to pretend
to be this Australian med student and doctor, and always on message boards 24/7 because that's what people in med school do.
I remember when that meltdown happened.
You weren't there, like on the board. You were living it vicariously through me.
Oh, because I wasn't as involved.
No, you were on the message boards then. It was when we came back from San Francisco, I got sucked back into that drama.
Oh, no, I thought you were saying this all happened before I ever got on StarTrek.com,
No.
Impossible.
No.
I remember it.
No, you were on watch message boards at the time.
Oh, did we? Maybe we heard about it from Michael Harold.
No, we didn't, because what happened was John Worf in the UK, he's the one that found it, and I couldn't freaking deal with it that I had this information and this person had been messing with, just lying and pretending to like be someone's girlfriend but refusing to like talk to them on Skype or whatever.
Or get on the plane with the tickets that this gentleman bought for her.
But I don't know if he bought the tickets. I think he offered to buy tickets.
And then I don't remember.
I don't know, but anyway, because I'm me, I freaking called her out out of nowhere because I couldn't deal with it and my head exploded.
Was it fun?
Yeah.
So what was the final outcome, honey?
Bex went away. And then I stopped going on the message boards because people decided they didn't like me.
It was just farting around online. It was just stupid.
So much drama. So much. He had like a stalker.
I did actually. I had somebody who custom made an action figure of me using a Ken doll, like handmade glasses.
No, I was talking about that kid.
Oh, I can't even think about that.
And then and it was his first interaction with someone trying to sext with him.
I had utterly confused. I had no idea what the hell was going on.
This was in like 2004.
Look, I just wanted to talk about Enterprise. That's the whole reason I went there. It still doesn't get a fair shake. I still am angry at the massive Star Trek fans who just wanted another TNG, another floating hotel in space.
Harvard in space, man.
Yeah, Hotel Harvard in space. Did we ever answer the person's question?
Did I even read it?
Oh,
No, it was talking about message boards.
Yeah, well, the thing is I could go talking about, guys on the Watch Forum and people sort of defending their turf. I will say this. I'm not going to go into it because there's a lot that would need to be gone over. But, there's a reason I don't go to watch message boards anymore, besides the fact that I kind of don't care. But, they get to have their space, and I wish them the joy of it. Okay.
Okay, now the video, A New True Pogue. From...
Oh, I'm sorry, that was not a rude gesture. That was me trying to pull my sleeve down. I went like this.
Oh, oops. No, back. What? Stop it. There.
That's
okay.
what she said.
From PHMWU7368, together with Skylab 4 Commander Gerald Carr, who wore a Movado Datachrome HS360 automatic chronograph, William Pogue wore a Seiko 6139-6005 automatic chronograph on board NASA's Skylab space station between November 1973 and February 74. Other astronauts have worn a Seiko during NASA training, James Irwin and Don Lind, to name a few.
Yeah, and also unofficially there was the space shuttle program, and they were using the gosh darn it, what was the name of that watch? The astronaut. They were using the astronaut
I was busy
LED.
trying to think of the number. I was like, there's an A in it somewhere.
Yeah, it's like A803 or something like that. I don't really remember. Can I look at this question right quick? Just hang on, let me just scan it. Okay, so here's the thing. Yes. So this maybe is the time for us to address really, which was the first automatic chronograph in space. Because they were wearing two different brands. There's no possible way that both men's wrists could have hit the border and entered space simultaneously. There has to have been some difference, even a millisecond. I wish we knew.
Wait, but they went up in the 70s.
Right, but it was the first. There were chronographs in space, but not automatic.
Oh. Okay.
Automatic chronograph. By the way, Pogue reported that his 6139-6005 resist from September 1971. He said it performed flawlessly.
Wow.
So anyway, that's the thing. So I mean, if anybody could figure out like the attitude of the vehicle as it was leaving, into entering low Earth orbit or space or whatever, there's possibility we could, and then we'd have to see the seating arrangement. And there's an answer. Literally, it's not fantasy. There is an answer, and it will once and for all settle the argument.
Who's arguing?
People have been arguing about it for years.
But who cares?
Everybody.
Why?
I don't know.
There's
It's a question.
no way to find out. There's like literally no way.
I bet you it can be done.
How?
Well,
what? Do you have a freaking holodeck?
Well, here's the thing. They're going to have internal and external cameras on that thing. I believe they did. I mean, they're going to be... So we should have there should be record of the entire trajectory of the craft, including attitude and pitch.
Well, now you have another major gigantic organization to write to. Dear NASA.
Dear NASA. First of all, how come I can't get no tang round here? What the Simpsons reference? And then Homer says into the phone, "Shut up."
I don't remember which one was it.
President Clinton, I'm calling you because I figured there's anybody who knows where I can get some tang around here, it'd be you. It was on The Simpsons.
I don't remember.
It'd be you. It's a great episode. That's when Homer and Barney are in a competition to see who's going to go in space. That's the same.
Right.
That's the same episode with "Careful, they're ruffled." That's also the great one with he smashes and the ants start flying off into space, and one says, "Quick, save the queen," and another one comes up and says, "Who's the queen?" And the third one says, I am. And they both look and they say, you're not the queen. I don't know. I just thought it was brilliant.
Anyway.
And I think about that every time I see Ruffled potato chips.
Really?
Every single time.
Wow.
We have a knock at the door. Can you hang on, please?
Chris 2011. Amazing work as usual, Spencer.
Thank you.
Wondering if you could explain a little bit about the reset action seen here at the end and after the service. The slower kind of stepped reset back to 0 as opposed to a hard snap. I know you've talked about it before, but I can't remember which video it was. Well, I mean, how many videos do you have?
I have a number of years worth.
I know. Mainly curious if that makes doing a hard reset down from, say, 30 or 40 safer.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, what you see there, I do that more with the A movements than the B. And the reason for that is that the A chronograph wheel is a little more delicate. There's a reason they beefed it up for the B. And so you can adjust that reset. What you were seeing there, when it stops and hesitates, it's because it's not, I'm not using the click spring for that thing to build up pressure as I'm pushing in, so that when the click spring finally releases the hammer pin, that it goes wham, and it transfers all this accumulated power right into the chronograph wheel. And that's chiefly, it's one of the main reasons that the chronograph wheels die. That shock is big. So I think I went a little too light on it. It's a single straight diddly, and it has a little catch on the thing like this, and the hammer, which goes click, 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 right there, it has a pin that it sits in like this, and as you're pushing on the hammer for the reset, it's building up until it can finally force it to go whack. And so, but it can be adjusted. You just don't want it to be too hard. It used to be, the common wisdom used to be that the upper and lower buttons should take the same force to push in. I like to go a little lighter on the resets.
Sorry, I have to...
No, it's okay. I'm looking at rocks.
Okay. Seiko 6309 7049 restoration. Jeff 1176. LOL Spencer, I've heard you argue with your light on numerous occasions. Brother, what type of light do you need? What? LED magnifier light? I've never seen screws that tight. That's crazy. I hope the pivots are okay. Geez, another beautiful piece. Very nice. I bought him lights, and
they're all in the kitchen.
No. Those your mother bought me for Christmas, like 12 years ago.
Which lights did you buy me?
From Joann's. And then one of them...
Which lights were these?
The ones that there's the magnifier one that we look at the rocks with, and then the other one that's long, somebody stole the cord out of it.
No, I got that one to work, but it's still not correct. What you're supposed to have basically is a large, long, almost like a drafting light, which is unfortunately, those are fluorescent, but it casts an even light across the entirety of the workbench, so you're basically shadow-free. That's the idea. What I have now is, those creaky metal, the really crappy adjustable arm ones, not the good ones. We have a really good one, like the Pixar one over there. These are the really, really, really crappy ones.
Yeah, it's like the brave little poster one.
Yeah, it's really bad, and it's like, really low quality. But I only have one of them. I need two. But I'm using
you have two.
But one's on the watch bench where it's not doing as good a job as it could if there were two of them. But so the one is still on the craft bench, and then it's just the light's too bright. So I made up my own kind of haze filter thing out of some whatever that paper packing stuff.
Tissue paper.
That's the Klein way. Why get the right tool when the wrong tool might work?
But when it works, it can work forever. ever.
Ever. Ever and ever and ever. No, that's what I need is I need to get real bench lights.
I'm trying to think of an example.
Of
A client fix that lasted forever. It could be you or your dad or whoever.
what about the time that Dad cut the side off the apple tree? Does that count? Oh no, what about the deck? Remember he refused. Dad had the house designed. He designed it himself, in 1970 and had this it was on land at that point that like there was literally no roads to it. We had to take a Jeep, I'm told. Anyway, but Dad had this place looking over like a reservoir, water reservoir, but this huge deck on it, gigantic, single, like clear California redwood stuff, really nice. And so, fast forward 45 years.
Willow was a baby.
Willow is a baby. The boards are cracking and they're old, they really are. My father refuses point blank the idea of replacing the wood. Now, well, you can't get wood like that these days. Okay, that's great. So what Dad did is he took off every single plank, cleaned every bit of metal that was in it, and then he flipped it upside down, and then simultaneously he had been constructing an entire set of aluminum caps for all of the stringers. So that water couldn't get into them from the top anymore. Then he was determined that he didn't want to have any visible fastenings because he didn't want water to get in. So he made it so everything was reverse screwed from the inside, again, using the original wood. And then he sanded the ever-loving Jekyll and Hyde out of it.
No, he didn't. Don't you remember the splinters?
No. That's the thing. He did sand it, but he didn't sand it smooth, and then he didn't seal it. So it was like tiny little itty bitty brown bee stinger hypodermic needles every time the kids were coming in. Every time I'd have to be digging out.
Yep.
Yeah, that was wild. So that was one of Dad's ridiculous projects that lasted forever. I don't think that's quite the same thing. Oh, his locking solution for the downstairs backsliding door was he cut a piece of aluminum square section that was just long as the door was. So when he would physically put it in there, you couldn't get it. It was like a bar, but there's probably better ways to do it.
Yes. I'm trying to think if you ever did one.
I do that stuff all the time.
I know, but like, what's one that you're still using?
The lights we were just discussing?
No, I know, but something else.
Well, look at that. I got one of those. She got me one of those like super triple bright, garage lights, the halogen ones. And they're blindingly bright, but it's also I need 2 or 3 of them, and I only have one. So it's like this blazing sun in the sky. So instead of figuring out how to turn it down or anything else like that, I took a piece of cloth out of an old photo lamp thing that was like frosted white, and I stapled it to the ceiling.
You'll have to take a picture.
It works. It functions, Why fix it?
Okay, last one. You're gonna get why I made you listen to that song. Do you remember?
Sunshine, lollipops, and rainbows.
Panama Brad.
Panama.
I have one I bought in '85 from PX at Elgin Air Force Base when I was in the Army. Glad I hung on to it. The watch made it a couple of years in Panama at Fort Davis in '86 through '88. Tough watch. Currently wear an SPB 077 with the great blue insert. Thanks for sharing.
That's awesome, man. I'm glad that you still have it. You're not the first. I've had people send in their 6309s. One guy did his dive training wearing it. One guy he said he was a Marine, and but he also did dive work and stuff, and he used his all through his training, and it was perfectly fine. I'm sure there are more examples. I just can't remember them now, but all the stories that I heard were about the amazing durability of these watches. And I've restored a few of those watches, and I got to see the inside of what a watch looked like for a guy, who was running every single day while he was wearing it. Every single day. For years. Years and years and years. It's really interesting to see what held up and what didn't, but the thing about Seiko is they're built to continue running accurately. Not like Timex, which continues running but tells you what the time is on Venus. The Seiko would run and run and run and run and run and run and run until it physically couldn't anymore, but it was a reliable timepiece. And, that quality showed. And, they weren't that expensive, and they look good-looking watches. There's a reason they're collectible now. Part of that being, a lot of them were beaten to death. And so survivors, especially from that kind of, life, there's not as many of them now.
Okay.
Anyway, that's it.
Yes, I have to go make pasta.
Well, that's awesome. I'm looking forward to eating some pasta.
Cool.
Alrighty. Cool. Folks, see you on the flip side.
Anywho.
Yep. Point being, I'm glad that Sean Payton is coming to Denver, but except for the fact that he worked as a scab during the NFL strike back in the 80s. So that's my only reservation. I don't like scabs. He crossed picket lines.
What?
Sean Payton.
What?
He's going to be the coach of the Broncos.
Really?
Yeah.
Wait, but he was doing bounties or something.
He certainly was, and he certainly got his wrist slapped for that. We need some wins. I mean, wins have been thin on the ground since 2015.
Well, like we super watch football.
Yeah, that's true. Anyway, go on.
The 6139 6009 restoration from Bag of Hammers 1234. I bought one of these in the summer of 1972 for $100. The salesman's come on was it was manufactured and assembled totally by machine. I wore it through college and it ran great. I reluctantly traded it 4 years later for my first quartz electric watch and never saw another one like it again. It was a great treat to see this old friend again.
Well, I'm glad, man. Do you have when you traded it? Did you still have the box and all that other stuff? You can find one today. I mean, they're a little tougher than they were to find, but they exist. It's nothing like, strapping one on again. Let's roll.
I, Chris